triumph? I thought it was over. This is what it sounded like in the year 2001 beyond Christ. Manchmal sagen Leute, ja, es gibt Freunde, die melden sich nur, wenn sie was von dir wollen. Und es wird quasi als was Schlechtes bezeichnet. Da denke ich mir immer, ich hoffe, dass sich bei mir niemand meldet, der nichts von mir will. Also, wenn sich bei mir jemand will, meldet, dann hoffe ich, dass er irgendwas von mir will. Sonst gibt's ja nichts zu besprechen. Na gut. Konnichiwa. Let's continue. There was another light in the room now, 1,000 times brighter than the night lights. And in the time we have taken to say this, it had been in all the drawers in the nursery looking for his shadow. Rummaged the wardrobe and turned every pocket inside out. It was not really a light. It made this light by flashing about so quickly. But when it came to rest for a second, you saw it was a fairy. No longer than your hand, but still growing. It was a girl, exquisitely gowned in a skeleton leaf, cut low and square, through which her figure could be seen to the best advantage. She was slightly inclined to embonpoint, in brackets, plump hourglass figure. A moment after the fairy's entrance, the window was blown open by the breathing of the little stars, and he dropped in. He had carried her part of the way, and his hand was still messy with the fairy dust. "Hey," he called softly, after making sure that the children were asleep. "Where are you?" She was in a jug for the moment, and liking it extremely. She had never been in a jug before. "Ah, do come out of that jug and tell me, do you know where they put my shadow?" The loveliest as of golden answered him. "'Tis the fairy language. You ordinary children can never hear it, but if you were to hear it, you would know that you had heard it once before." She said that the shadow was in the big box. She meant the chest of drawers, and he jumped at the drawers, scattering their content to the floor with both hands, as kings toss a pence to the crowd. In a moment he had recovered his shadow, and in his delight he forgot that he had shut her up in the drawer. If he thought at all, but I don't believe he ever thought, it was that he and his shadow, when brought near each other, would join like drops of water. And when they did not, he was appalled. He tried to stick it on with soap from the bathroom, but that also failed. A shudder passed through him, and he sat on the floor and cried. His sobs woke the girl, and she sat up in bed. She was not alarmed to see a stranger crying on the nursery floor. She was only pleasantly interested. Boy, she said courteously, why are you crying? He could be exceeding polite also, having learned the grand manner at fairy ceremonies, and he rose and bowed to her beautifully. She was much pleased and bowed beautifully to him from the bed. What's your name? He asked. My name's Wendy, she replied, with some satisfaction. What is your name? She asked. Extort from me to bow and sue for grace with suppliant knee and Diphius power, who from the terror of this arm so late doubted his empire, that were low indeed, that were an ignominy and shame beneath this downfall, since by fate the strength of God and the imperial substance cannot fail. Since through experience of this great event, in arms not worse and foresight much advanced, we may with more successful hope resolve to wage by force or guile eternal war. Irreconcilable to our grand foe, who now triumphs and in the excess of joy, sole reigning holds the tyranny of heaven. So spake the apostate angel, though in pain, vaunting aloud, but racked with deep despair. And him thus answered soon his bold compeer. O Prince, O Chief of many throned powers, that led the embattled seraphim to war, under thy conduct and in dreadful deeds, fearless, endangered heaven's perpetual king, and put to proof his high supremacy, whether upheld by strength or chance or fate. Too well I see and rue the dire event, that with sad overthrow and foul defeat hath lost us heaven, and all this mighty host in horrible destruction laid thus low, as far as gods and heavenly essences can perish. For the mind and spirit remains invincible, and Viger soon returns, though all our glory extinct, and happy state he is swallowed up in endless misery. But what if he, our conqueror, have left us this our spirit and strength entire, strongly to suffer and support our pains, that we may to suffice his vengeful ire, or do him mightier service as the vampire. By right of war, whate'er his business be, here in the heart of hell to work in fire, or do his errands in the gloomy deep desire. What can in then avail, though yet we feel strength undiminished, O eternal being? Diminished! To undergo eternal punishment. Whereto with speedy words thy arch fiancé replied, fallen cherubim, to be weak is miserable, doing or suffering, but of this be sure, to be inevitable. To do out good never will be our task, but ever to do ill our sole delight, as being the contrary to his high will, whom we resist, if then his providence does matter. Out of our evil seek to bring forth good. Our labor must be to pervert that end, and out of good still to find means of evil, which oftentimes may succeed so as perhaps shall grieve him, if I fail not and disturb his inmost conceals from their disdained aim. Was sagt man dazu? But see, the angry victor hath recalled his ministers of vengeance and pursuit, back to the gates of heaven.